one voting member who will be with us online. As soon as we get him hooked up, we will start this meeting. So just another minute here as soon as I get the ice on. You can see Rutgers' smiling face.
I didn't say. Okay. So. Having problems today.
Okay. Relax for just another minute. Everybody's big spring is going well. Yeah. We're going to get our board member on. Hi, Roger.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting up to speed here on technology.
Hi, Roger. We hear you now, so thank you. So we know all order or six meeting of the Friday Regulation Water Management Board, and we will start with an opening prayer. Volunteer for that. Georgia, thank you.
Dear Lord, we just want to thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for safe travels for all of us who were able to make it in today. And we just ask for continued safety for those who are home or not feeling well. We ask for wisdom and guidance as we go through this agenda. Approaching with sincerity and due diligence. In your name.
So attendance, please. Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here. I can barely hear you, Clayton, or Ethan.
That was the staff talking in the background, so we got you. You're on. Thank you, Roger. And we know that Teresa is not going to be joining us today. She changes her mind join us. We'll let you know that she's not today, but we have a quorum. Thank you. As always, meeting minutes are on the DNRC and CSKP websites for those of you who wish to look at previous meeting minutes. So we're up to adopt the agenda. So I take any comments or suggestions for agenda changes at this point. Take a motion. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, under item 4, there should be a new 4.3, which offers an opportunity for public comment on a board action. WRIS MOU use. My apologies for neglecting that. I did not want to overlook the need for that public comment spot right there. Additionally, Mr. Chairman, I do believe that we may have an opportunity for the board to take action on an updated logo if it wishes today. And so under item 5.7, there's updates on a board logo. And I was unsure when I made this agenda whether we would have options for the board to select. We do have some updated options. So if upon seeing those here, the board would take action, you'll need to add an action step and a public comment step.
Why don't we just add those in the event we need them? So we can, 5.7. Comment.
So, Mr. Chairman, we will capture those.
5.7 B will be action. If we need those. Order right with that? Board members okay with that? Yes. You catch that, Roger?
Yes.
Okay. So my question then, if we're adding those, do we want to add possible comment and action on 5.5, 5.6? 5.6 staff benefits. And then we're going to have that discussion. But
no, sir, Mr. Chairman, we do not have something to take specific action on for staff benefits. I will offer you an update.
I know that, board members are very interested in trying to get us to the point where we have staff benefits in place. So.
As our staff, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yep. All right. With those changes, any other comments or changes to the agenda? Motion to approve this agenda.
I'll make a motion to the agenda with changes.
Motion by Ken to approve the agenda with change. Second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. An agenda. Okay, any potential conflicts of interest? So let's go around and just touch base there, Roger.
No conflicts.
Georgia?
No comment.
And
No conflicts.
And as of last time, if and when we get to discussion on the AC updates, all two of the potential vendors I have connection to, so I can guide the discussion, but I'll have to abstain from any action on those today. I think that Ethan or somebody will have to clarify if I abstain, are we still allowed to take action since we would be one short of the quorum? I think we can, but when we get to that point, we'll make sure to discuss. That'd be the only potential conflict of interest. Right. Public comments for items not on the agenda. Anybody in the audience? Public comments? This audience or online? No comment here. In the audience here. Anybody online? Okay, there'll be other public comment opportunity. No public comment at this time. So moving on to board business. Approve meeting minutes from 5/18 of 23. So we have minutes in the packet. Any comments on those minutes? If not, when you're ready, we'll take motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move that we approve the
Approve the minutes by Georgia.
Second.
Second by Ken. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we're on to 3.2, Roger. You want to leave that?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you.
All right. So I'll try to keep this short and sweet too. So what triggered this is when I submitted my expense voucher for April, it was reviewed and the per diem was denied. And so I got thinking about this, and the reason I was given is because it didn't fall within the meeting duration. But I think when we wrote the bylaws, there was some oversight of what should have gone into that. And I recognize this kind of pertains to myself right now because nobody else is traveling. But in the future, if we travel to Helena for that state water right meeting or other places we travel to, it will become an issue. So we might as well address it now. So currently the bylaws just are, the compensation is limited to meeting attendance at $175 per day, which includes preparation and travel for mileage, but no per diem or lodging. So when I went back and reviewed some of the past information, even there back to Kristen Juris wrote an email on December 1, 2021. It said that a breakfast and lunch will be provided at the meetings. A dinner per diem will also be paid to each board member for the day of the meeting if meetings conclude after 4 o'clock. So I think the idea was to provide per diem from the state. Also then Pela provided an email for inclusion or to address this for the bylaws to Ethan. That email was dated March 8th, 2023. And in it, it says for reimbursement rates, the state will reimburse mileage at the IRS rate and will reimburse lodging and meals at the state rate. And she provided a link with the specifics to the state rate. And that's exactly what we've got in the new policy manual too. So my recommendation is that we add that same language to the bylaws, board bylaws, so that it will be a mechanism to provide per diem and lodging, as well as be consistent with the employee policy manual.
Ethan, do you have any?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Other board members, any questions for Roger where he's at with that, and how would you like to proceed? That's Roger's recommendation that we make sure that the language of the bylaws clarifies that it includes per diem, which is including lodging and meals. Is that correct, Roger?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, we're actually going to amend suggesting.
Well, I see, I mean, if we're going to amend the bylaws, we're going to need to take action and we need to act appropriately here. I think that's what Roger's asking.
Yeah, I guess I would make a motion to amend the board bylaws to reflect that inclusion.
So on that item, we probably need to have this discussion. Since it wasn't specific on the agenda, I think we can move forward, but we're going to be careful to make sure to take public comment before we take action. So, let's continue with the discussion. So that's what Roger is asking us. Any question or discussion about what he's proposing?
So, Mr. Chairman, Roger, the per diem denied was when the state passed 4 o'clock here.
I can barely hear you, Ken. I think what you said is the per diem was the per diem denied at the state rate, and if that's what the question was, it was yes.
No, my question was it per diem denied because you stayed here past 4 o'clock?
I didn't catch the last part of your sentence.
I think let me try to phrase it. So Ken is asking if the per diem that was denied would have been for per diem that would have been for meals after 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
It would have fit within the confines of the state policy. And I guess I make this because, like, if we were traveling to Helena for that meeting on a Sunday, and we would only get paid for meals starting on Monday for the meeting. So this way it is consistent with state policy.
I have no further questions.
My only other comment right now would be if maybe we should do this in a couple steps. Maybe we could prove whatever Roger had submitted specifically for now, and then ask for the specific language to be added to the bylaws so we can have that in front of us and then prove those bylaws. Maybe at the next meeting. That way we're not trying to approve something in writing that we don't have in front of us. So Roger, would that be amenable? And if the board sees fit to take that approach.
Sure, that's good. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, question
Yes.
for you. I have not yet turned in my invoice for May. I think I'd like to be included on that too, for one-time payment. We did go past 4 on several occasions, didn't we?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, board members, just to be clear, if you're wanting to base whether or not, there's 2 different things. There's a state policy and then there's the lieutenant governor's after 4 policy, and they're not necessarily the same. The state general for state employees, they have a policy that if you're in travel status for more than 3 hours during these select periods of the day, that you get per diem for that. The after 4 arrangement discussed by the lieutenant governor is just different. Not promoting one or the other, excuse me, but they're just different. The issue that Roger ran into is that your bylaws were specific to say if meeting meals are not provided and meetings occur for more than 3 hours in the time period listed below. And it doesn't say travel, it says meetings. And just, I don't know if that helps you, but on a rewrite of the bylaws, that would be what needs to be addressed.
Okay, Roger?
Yeah, I guess that's what it, I think the intent with the lieutenant governor was to provide meals or compensation for meals no matter what. So in order to simplify this, my recommendation is let's just do the same thing that the state does, which is what Pela had provided in an email during the time we were doing the bylaws, but for some reason was inadvertently omitted. And I think this way it'd just be similar to what the board or the same staff policy for travel and reimbursement of meals and lodging.
To change the bylaws, I think I would still recommend we take the same approach, that we get it in writing and then approve it at the next. In the meantime, board members, if you would like to authorize the compensation for Roger and the request from Ken, then I would suggest we do that and wait for maybe Roger, you and Ethan can come up with that language for the next meeting, and we can approve a change to the bylaws. If that approach works, then I would start by
I'm good with that.
okay. Ken, are you?
Yes.
Okay. So before we do take any action, let's see if there's any public comment on this.
Anyone on Zoom, if you have a public comment, please raise your hand or you can allow to speak. No public comment online.
So hearing no public comment, we want to move to start with Rogers. Now, the thing about this, if we approve this for you and then for Ken, my question is, what are we approving? Are we approving an amount or just authorizing the approval of whatever you submit?
Well,
I'm not sure what would be submitted.
I had submitted the standard expense voucher that I'd been submitting all along, but which was consistent with state of Montana reimbursement, but because of the language in the bylaws, it was the meals were denied. So that's all. Just, I think a couple meals is what it amounted to. It wasn't much. It's just that I want to get this cleared up moving forward. I guess I don't even care if I get compensated for May, but I want this to get changed moving forward.
You want us to take action on your current request then or not?
Well, yeah, I might as well, since it's on the table, I might as well. I don't know what the exact amount is, but it's probably only on the neighborhood of $20 or something.
Board members? Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm not trying to be out of order or anything. I just have a suggestion in process.
Yes.
Since it doesn't seem like it's a pressing issue on timeliness, might I suggest the board amends their bylaws and then proceeds with a backwards compensation for Roger and or Ken, so that your actual compensation will match your bylaws instead of doing something outside of the bylaws. And it doesn't seem like the timeliness is that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Roger.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So, okay, that makes sense too. So in any case, we'll approve the bylaws, and then following that, we'll look at taking action to retroactively cover those two if you want. So, okay.
Yep,
okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you for that suggestion. That's a good suggestion. All right. Okay, we'll move on. Water information system, MOU with DNRC, item number 4. So who has this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll take this if that's okay. We do also have a representative from the state of Montana online, Arnie Wick, and we'll let him talk, please.
I am here and with you. Hello.
Excellent. Hi, Arnie. Thank you for being here. In front of you today, Mr. Chairman, board members, are 2 MOUs. Arnie and I have worked quite a bit on these, as have other state and FRWMB staff, to get you some MOUs that meet everybody's needs, that set expectations without being overly legally binding on anybody's front, but certainly promote get it done enthusiasm that both DNRC and our office, and I suspect the tribe, are going to be excited to see this moving forward. So in general explanation, the MOU, which you used to know of as a charter, had a slight title change. I noticed some folks struggling with the charter designation, so this is perhaps a little more familiar. No reason other than that, and we have gone through this pretty thoroughly with assignments of duties and expectations. I have personally reviewed all of this MOU and think that it meets my office and likely your needs. The MOU itself has already been signed by both the Deputy Division Administrator Trevor Watson and Program Manager Arnie Wick. So I have that copy here with me today, and upon having my signature and the chairman's signature after board approval, if so meets it, this would be enacted immediately. I'll pause before I discuss the next MOU. If the board would like to have any questions about the first MOU.
And the first one in my packet says has a date June 1 on top. Is that the one we're looking at right now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is.
I'll answer questions from the board. And Arnie, did you have anything more to add to that right now?
No, Chairman, I'm here for questions if you have any. I think Ethan summed it up quite well. So I'm here for any questions that might come up. So nothing more.
Obviously, the state folks in agreement, they've signed it. Ethan, you're recommending that we do this?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I do in fact recommend that this both achieves the priority work that you have ushered forward in direction towards my office, and also meets the standards for my office to where we think it's relatively achievable. We are at a spot with budget and personnel where I think moving forward makes a lot of sense.
Board members,
No questions.
I'm just really excited to see this happen. This is something that we needed. So,
Roger?
No, I'm very happy to see this has come to fruition. I guess one thing on the page 7 project assignments, you and I, Clayton, talked a little bit. I'd be glad to participate in the testing of this and the whatnot also, since I've been working with that database for 30 years.
I think, thank you, Roger, for bringing that up. So under that, it says, it has my name, but certainly, are we assuming that I'm tied to doing this, or we've got the ability to have any board member do this in my stead? Like Roger is very interested, so, and do we need to add his name? I'm not sure where you want to go with that.
No, so Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, good questions. A couple things. One, to access this database is a fairly involved set of permissions that would likely not be afforded outside of this office. So what we could do is work with any board members who would like to have the access to that database to set them up with what's fairly a rigorous set of VPN conditions to meet in order to access just the test database. But I suspect that we can do that too. This agreement does not either commit or uninvolve specific board members. So that workflow can be developed as we move forward at the happiness of the vice chair.
We don't need to take any action or change anything, just we have an agreement that any board member can participate in that, and if Roger wants to do that, then he can move forward with that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, I do suggest you don't make any changes to the contract, and that we can accommodate involvement from any board member that would like to participate.
Roger, you good at that?
Yep.
Hey, board members, are there comments on this one at this point? Okay, you said you want to go on to the next one before we do anything?
Yes, sir. These are a package deal, and that is part of why we were able to move forward with this today. The second MOU, much appreciation to the state who did the lion's share of the writing of this particular MOU and the provision of this particular employee that's discussed. This is, in fact, a staffing solution to help us move through the WRIS enhancement process. And we have been offered half of FTE's time. The FTE's name is Kathleen Schubert. She works out of the Missoula Regional Office, and somebody I've worked with for 15 years. And she has also been, she's a proven water rights database WRIS expert, has gone through this process with the contractor Respect to enhance the state's database for water rights issued directly by the state, similar to what we will need for this office. Couldn't think of a better person to get plugged into this. The agreement here does envision some interaction with the funding agreement between the tribes and the state that affects our office, in that half of the in-kind services from Kathleen Schubert are funded by DNRC, and so they have held back that, basically what amounts to a quarter of the salary funding and some office space from the Missoula Regional Office where her main workstation will be. They've held that back for money that they will move forward through the funding agreement. And I feel like I tripped over my words a little bit trying to describe something that's a little bit complicated on that. Perhaps Arnie, you've listened to this, you want to add some clarifications that may be useful?
I think that was a great summary. One thing is this staffing solution would be for the approximate through the end of the calendar year, at which point Kathy is intending to retire. So depending on how the project goes, we'll have to reevaluate at that time. But those 7 months should get us well down the road. So just wanted to offer that.
Okay, very good. Is she online? Is she with us today?
Does not appear that way, but I will set up a meeting.
Yeah, I just sure. So I was going to say hi, introduce. So yeah, certainly. All right, very good. Board members, you have two MOUs and any comments or questions? Roger?
I'm good. Let's sign them.
Those look great.
Okay, so public comment. Any public comments on the MOUs before we take action?
Any public comment online? You raise your hand and I can allow you to talk.
I'll repeat that because of the microphone issue. If there's any comment online, please do raise your hand and we'll allow you to talk. Seeing none.
Seeing none, move on to take action. Do you want these approved individually?
Nope, just this package. It needs to, they really operate as a package, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve these two MOUs.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to proceed with a MOU on discovery and risk work and the MOU to proceed with a contractor assignee to this office and the Office of Water Engineer.
Okay. Motion by Ken to approve both of these MOUs.
I'll second.
Second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Unanimous. Done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Vice Chairman.
Well, thanks, Arnie. I hope let's work through that.
You bet, and excited to get started on it. It has never been done before, as you're all aware. So looking forward to it. This is the first step.
Everything we're doing has never been done before, so I think we're a good company.
Noted, noted.
Thank you. Water engineer report, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I have a hodgepodge of things on the water engineers report today. Some of them are perhaps not fully baked in hopes of the underlining arrangements that you see here, but at a minimum, we can offer some updates. The first item that we do have is we've got a water rights processing update, and you should have a report in your, is this the report that folks have in their? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Good deal. This is a new format brought to you by your very own Carrie Mueller. Thank you, Carrie, for the updated format. Thank you. The last one I thought was a little cumbersome, and so this is streamlined to let you see what's occurred. The focus is 2023, and not water right applications for all time or anything. We could add that if that's needed, but this is to give you an idea of what's happening here in the office, the number of applications received, the types of applications that are received, the types of actions that are taken. Please do feel not limited to comment on the report to just this meeting. If board members see something they'd like to have different or some other metrics that you would like to see happen, please do not hesitate to let us We know what you'd like to see. We'll see if we can accommodate you.
Just you guys work with this daily, and maybe everyone is familiar with it. Maybe the bottom or on the back, very brief description, or at least title of what the 60D at Part A, Part B, 60 SA, Part A, B, R. Substitute redundant, what that is, the 180-day or suspended day, just the title of what those are, and we'll get familiar with those enough so we don't need that in the future, but that might help.
Excellent recommendation, Mr. Chairman. We will act on that.
All right. Any comments or questions on that report?
Nope.
Roger?
I don't have them because I'm not in attendance. So
that's right. I apologize.
Yes, we did not quite realize that Vice Chairman Noble will not be here until early this morning. So we tried to reconfigure some things. It looks like that was one item that we did not reconfigure.
That's fine. Is it available to pop up on the screen for everyone to see for a minute, or not?
That back up on the screen for us. Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble.
Can you see that, Roger?
Hold on, I'm gonna share this.
Oh, okay. You getting there?
oh yeah, I can see it now.
Mr. Chair, I just had one comment.
Yes, perfect. Comment.
First of all, this looks great. It's laid out really well. It's easy to follow. My only thought was, and I'm open to everybody's good thoughts on this, if there was another column that gave the total, not just by category, but all of them, it appears that since January, this office has processed 161. That's impressive. So just might be something nice to communicate to the public.
Very good.
Yeah, yes, we will absolutely add total. Certainly do that. It's a good idea. And we'll make sure to email this to all the board members after the meeting so that if you develop some additional thoughts, we are all ears.
Anything else, Roger?
Sounds good.
Very good. Thanks for putting that up. All right.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Office lease and AC upgrade updates.
And I jump in on that real quick. So
the floor is yours, sir.
So we've talked a bit. So after the last meeting, we were authorized to sit with the landlady, and we did that. And I think following that introductory meeting, Ethan and Martha were able to come to some terms. Ethan has since proposed a draft lease extension. So we had a proposal for that out there. She had not responded. I spoke with her this morning, and I'm gonna try to get through this because I think we're tying the lease extension and the AC upgrades together. So we originally were tying the lease extension to our ability to spend money, significant amount of money on AC. But her comments were, one, she is okay with a lease extension. And I apparently what's proposed, and you can clarify, is that it's renewed every year. She doesn't want to have to renew every year and is willing to go ahead with a longer term lease extension. So she, in her words, put it, whether it's 2 or 4 years, and said that if it went out that far or longer, and we were able to move into another building miraculously somehow, that she wouldn't hold us to that extra time, so she'd be willing to. So we might want to get that language in that piece. She also said that she was willing, I guess the proposal is that we freeze the cost of the lease during that time. She does not want to freeze it for the entire time. She's willing to freeze it for 1 more year. But after that, she was expecting that the cost will go up incrementally. She did not say by how much. I suspect that we would have to, once we get this lease in place, start negotiating with her. So we have some cost figures as soon as we could over the next few years. So that's essentially what she said verbally. So the point on the AC piece then is, if we're going to continue to tie this to our AC investment, then we should probably wait until that's done, and then we can move forward with that AC investment. If we do that, then we don't need to take any action on this today until we get that lease language figured out, and we can take action. You could move forward with the AC investment regardless and just assume the best and continue to negotiate a longer term lease with the landlord. It's probably not the best approach to take, but that's certainly an option. So that's where we're at. Ethan, did you have any other input on that at this time?
In the past, she had agreed to a lease for this that saw $150 a month increases for each progressive year. And that might be an obvious spot to do a redraft, is to just proceed with that previously agreed to month, increase, and see where we went. And then I understand that we're now looking at writing a longer extension that includes language to terminate, if the board and the office of the engineer find another home. Is that?
Yes, and she's, again, verbally willing to go for 1 more term, she said, for the current rate.
Current rate for 1 more year. Okay. I can draft all that.
So if we could draft all that, so board members, we can pursue that, finalize that, and then move on with your AC investment, or you can authorize something on the AC investment. But before we go any further, we hit pause and see if you have any comments on the lease extension discussion. Yes.
What is the current lease year? Is it a calendar year? Is it starting
May the 15th to to midnight of May the 14th, the following year. So, and the first lease was set up for 3 years. We just wrapped up the end of the first year this last May. Made the move to $150 jump from there, and we are proceeding on the second year lease. Second year of the 3-year lease.
Question?
Yeah,
Chairman. By profession, I prefer something in writing before we.
Absolutely.
But I'm worried. Summer's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and I'm worried about the staff.
Yes. So we could jump to that AC discussion, so we get clarification on where we're at with that, because I think there's a number of questions on that as well. Any other thoughts on the lease extension discussion? Georgia?
Well, I just want to make sure I'm tracking this. We're going to provide a significant financial investment in this building and then have to pay more rent? Is that how that?
She verbally had said that she could not freeze the rent during the extended duration of the lease, and would agree to stay with the current rate for another year, but she expects she would want it to increase after that. Her comments, her words, and her also comments and words really also focused on, in her opinion, that we've got a fairly low rate as it is, comparatively looking at surrounding values. And that may or may not be true. I've not done any assessment. I think we've asked staff to do the assessment of that. But that's certainly something we could start negotiating as soon as possible if we proceed with this way. Again, we tied the lease extension to this investment question. We certainly don't have to. We could move forward with an investment on that any way we see fit and keep the lease negotiation separate if we wish. But for our thinking, I think our thought was if we're going to spend this much money on these improvements, that we want to be able to be in here longer. And so she's agreed to that. Question is how much will it cost in the future? We don't know. We'll have to work that out. And if that's something the board wants to know ahead of time, we have to propose that to her. She'll have to come back with some numbers, which we don't have right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Roger?
I have similar concerns as Georgia expressed, that we haven't heard Ethan's presentation yet, but the agenda calls for a not to exceed of $70,000. That is a significant investment as far as I'm concerned. I would be reticent to move ahead until I know more about what kind of future contract we can negotiate with the building owner.
Okay, yeah, that's not fair. Those are the options. So why don't we jump to the AC discussion there?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, if you will, I will add a couple minor things about the lease. I don't know that I mentioned you're currently paying $2,100 a month, and that goes up at the third year to $250. And I failed to tell you actually what we're paying, just the increases. Also, when I did pitch the lease extension, I offered that if we spend $60,000 on this unit and divide that by 48 months, that's $1,250 a month in building upgrades. But obviously, when you run the air conditioner, it loses some value and so forth. But I did try to promote recognition of the public funds that would be going into it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the AC, where we're at with the AC is we have two widely different quotes. I've not been able to track down better information to resolve which one is better, other than the fact that I look around at a lot of the buildings here and I see what is installed. And the higher dollar quote is for these mini splits, which would also provide additional heat supplements, which would be, I think, useful for this building. If I was to make a suggestion to the board today, I would suggest that the board go with the mini splits, which is the higher dollar amount, which I also believe to be lower risk. The other option is to provides for both an upgrade of the heater itself, and the attachment of an AC unit onto the existing heat system. And so that's they're two totally different approaches. Furthermore, on this line, you'll know I had been actively seeking window upgrade quotes. Part of the heat issue with this building are especially the upstairs windows. They don't have screens, or insulation. They look cool. And they have a unique character to them, but certainly whatever we were going to do, if we were going to try to pump air conditioning in, we'd have to struggle against the lack of insulation in the windows in the upstairs. And there's one window downstairs that would need to be replaced. I did finally get one of the two contractors that I had bid, give me a bid on that. It was around $27,000. Which
for the windows.
Yeah, and I'm not, that's the whole deal. Yeah. They come in and take them apart, put the new ones in, haul off the old stuff, full start to finish.
But it's just for the windows, not
just for the windows. Okay. I mean, for the windows, including the demo and the installation. Okay.
Let's go back to the EC bid. So exactly what are the two bids? I don't have the other bid in front of me right now. I believe it was. I'm going to look over my shoulder and see if Christy remembers how much the lower bid was. We'll find that out here for you in a second. Thank you for your patience. And that upper bid was $57,000. What was
it? Was 26 and some change, I believe. It's
the upper bid.
Yeah. Well, the upper bid included some filtration on it. Also,
right, the high bid for the AC was how much?
I'm getting the folder here. I bet it's got all the information in it. Thank you so much, Christy. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm gonna probably get there later too. All right, so the lower bid was $21,509. The upper bid was $57,600. And then an additional $13,000 for ERV filtration, which is it's a fancy kind of filter to help us remove the problem that we have with the building, which is uptaking the basement air, which is not very quality air into the rest of the building.
So the central air that we have now, does it have any kind of filter?
It has the most basic of filters on it, a box filter that would normally perform just fine if it was located in a dry, clean basement. But I invite board members to walk down the basement after the meeting and understand why we are interested in some additional filtration.
So on both these bids, you're still going to have to add a $27,000 for window replacement.
Well, I only got the one quote, but yes, that would be. We don't have to, but it would be it'd be suggested, and then some of that will probably be recouped by energy reduction. I mean, we're going to end up with higher energy bills no matter what if we install the air conditioner, but it will be much higher if we don't upgrade the insulation at the same time.
So if this is helpful, Mr. Chair,
yes, perfect.
I just ran some comps on average cost of commercial spaces in Lake County. And the average square foot cost per year on commercial leases, there's only 3 comps available, ranges from $11.50 to $13.10 a square foot. When you multiply that out and you divide by the year, the average range for commercial spaces is between $1,900 and $2,200. So we're firmly within the range that we would be in. We're not paying more, we're not paying less, we're right in that range. And I'm trying to keep up with the math over here, but at a $70,000 upper bid, and if I'm understanding this correctly, if it's tied to a 48-month lease extension, that's equivalent to adding an extra $1,400, $1,458 per month in added value. So it would be, she's already getting the expected rent rate. That would be another $1,458 that stays with this building, whether we're here or not. On the lower end at the 28, it's $583 extra per month. So there's some numbers for you to think about.
Good. Well, we could continue to try to work with those 2 bidders and see if there's anything we can do to improve on those. We could reach out and find another bidder because we found 2, tried to get 3, 1 outfit declined a bid. Apparently, we asked them several times. So those are other options. If we looked at the $21,500 route, if filtration is an issue, maybe we could also see what more we can do with improving the filtration. That would be one option there. On the other larger bit, I'd be curious to find out if there's any way they can work with us and turn it on. I don't know what their bid includes or why. It seems like you all tied to me. So the things we can do, obviously, if we're tying this investment to wherever we're going to align on the lease, we're not going to take action on them today. So, but that's where we're at.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be curious to know how many mini splits were going to be installed on that upper bid.
Mr. Chair and board members, I believe it was 1 large unit on the roof that would be plumbed to different locations using the attic space. One of the things that the contractor mentioned is that this room in particular is difficult because of the vertical height as compared to some other places. Again, just what I am a parrot of what the contractor said. Can't corroborate that or anything. I'm not an expert in air conditioner installations. But I do know that when we, this building does have an exhaust vent in the ceiling, and that when we turn that on, it generally makes the whole office smell pretty bad, like the basement. That's unfortunate. Because when
pulling air from the basement.
Yeah, and when we open, if somebody gets here and opens the doors early in the morning and keeps those propped open and then runs the exhaust fan, you can pull in some cool morning air. By the time that it is hot in the afternoon, if you open the doors and turn on the exhaust fan, you're pulling in hot pavement air. So there's no help there. So at the time of the day where the exhaust fan would probably be the most useful, to be at night, there's nobody here. I've tried to change staff hours to get them to work at night. It's a dad joke for them. Good luck. All right. Do you want to proceed?
May I make another comment?
Yeah.
So I want the staff to be comfortable. I get how hot this building can become, having lived in it. But at the same time, I'm concerned. I know later on in our agenda today, we're going to be looking at personnel policy, and we want to look at staff benefits. Yeah. And I want to make sure we have money in our budget to take care of things like medical expenses and insurance. And I'm struggling with these numbers. I'll just be honest. It's hard for me to justify a $70K bid for air conditioning to put investment into a property we don't own when our staff doesn't have medical insurance yet. And so I guess I'm more comfortable not knowing all the ins and outs, but I just want you to know I have lived in this building, so I know what it's like. And I want you guys to keep cool. I'm not comfortable spending that much money until I'd be more comfortable having this discussion after we took care of medical insurance for staff. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think we need to move in that direction. It needs to be our priority. In the meantime, we're clearly tying whatever we do here to the lease extension. Let's see where we get with the lease extension and then go from there. In the meantime, maybe we can authorize or suggest that we go out and actually seek another bid. I don't know from who, maybe somebody out of Missoula. Because I know the one bid is from someone here in Ronan. And the other bid is from the outfit in Kalispell. The people who worked on the furnace early on when we moved in, the landlord had them come in. They were from Tulsa, and they're the one that refused to give a bid or elected, so we could ask them again. But maybe there is another firm somewhere yet who could give a bid. And then maybe we can touch base with both of these and see if we can tweak their information a bit more. Filtration on the one, and the other one, maybe they can answer some questions about and how why is it so much. I don't. Yes.
So I was just thinking in the interim, can we authorize some purchase of a swamp cooler? At least the local offices could be cooler than.
Yeah, we do have these smaller swamp coolers, and I was not going to ask you for authorization for the next round of fans that I end up buying. So,
okay,
yeah,
at least addressing the interim,
right?
Yeah.
And thank you for thinking that way. That's thoughtful.
Any additional discussion on the lease and the AC discussion?
No.
I guess I'll provide Ethan with a couple other contractors here in Kalispell, one that I used and another, well, two that I've used in the past. Maybe we can solicit a bid from them. I guess the other concern I have, since you brought it up, is that this one big mini split is going to go on the roof. I wonder if the roof has the capacity, the structural capacity to support something like that. So I'm kind of wondering if we do something like that, if we're not opening up a bigger can of worms.
Yeah, the engineering on that, I don't know. We'd have to have somebody take a look. The landlord was concerned about the roof itself, and we were going to be able to coordinate with the roofing folks to make sure that we didn't damage that when we were doing it. But it's a good question. I mean, I can only assume that the people who looked at this understand what they would be doing here. But certainly we'd have to, if that was an open question, we'd have to find a way for them to answer that. Either they would answer it, or we'd have to hire an engineer to come in and assess that for us.
For what it's worth, both contractors will put equipment on the roof on a pallet. So they make a there's a pallet configuration that goes down first, presumably span the roof trusses, but both of them, one has the compressor or the condenser, excuse me, up on the roof for the more traditional unit, and then the mini split is also on the roof. So nobody was offering to do anything that wasn't on the roof.
It's still a good question. And I will, if I can find another outfit to throw your way to get another bid, we'll do that as well. And then if you can just touch base with both of them and see if we can see what we can get out of them.
Will do.
So that unless you have other comments or members, we'll move on in that discussion. Roger, anything else?
No, I'm ready to move on.
Good.
Okay.
Good. All right. All right. You have anything for that?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. So no action on those. Continue that discussion. Future meetings. Okay. 5.3. Update on board bank accounts and resolution.
Excellent, Mr. Chairman, board members. I have had time to take action on your last direction for the board bank account, and we are now down to 3 members on the board bank account in match with the board bylaws. I have also started the process of, writing the resolution that will result in the board having a money market account, and been working with some financial folks to help me better the terms on how that money market account will be set up to interact with the board's operational account, I'm going to call it, which is most people just call it checking account. But and the idea, as you'll remember, we had discussed, would be that money market account will sit there and put monthly amounts into the operational account. It will be available for larger transfers, but that those will be a little more restricted, requiring 2 signatures for a transfer that is outside of our typical operational fund. And this will add some internal controls to the larger sum of the board's funds, and also provide an opportunity to earn a little interest with the money the board has that's not actively being used. And I am awaiting to get in contact with the bank's online access guru, who will then supply me exactly the last bit of information I need that I'll put into this resolution that lists who all we're going to ensure has continual online access to the bank account for purposes of looking at balances and transfers, not for purposes of making transfers or debits to the account. So things are moving along. The bank's been very helpful.
Okay. Questions? Board members?
That sounds great.
Good, Roger?
I'm good. Yes.
All right. Sorry. All right, I'll just move to item 5.4 now, and updates and discussions about staffing. There's really 2 items that I have here on my mind. One, I want to let you know that we have successfully modified Anna Butterfield's contract, and so any future work that she'll do will be based on her new contract with us, and so that's in place. But she also told me she doesn't want to work any in June. So it's kind of in place, kind of just waiting until she's ready to work. But that is, your direction on that has been enacted. Additionally, what we need to do now is I believe I've got enough of the budget items needed to start talking about another, which staff member we're going to hire next. And so I really just want to take opportunity to hear from the board either now or between the next meetings as to what they'd like to see as a priority for the next staff member, so that I can go ahead and proceed, developing that. I know, we've talked to hydrologists, we've talked to another water resource conservationist. We've also talked about another compliance tech. So, I'm inviting board's direction and input on the next stage. We do have money that we can now tangibly see that is.
Okay. What position do you think you need most?
All three, but for right now, I think, it depends on what the board wants to prioritize. And if the board's priority is to have a butt in the seat and the office door open, then, we're going to look for some of those easier to fill positions, compliance tech, or maybe another thing that I thought about was just hiring an administration position that would also help to serve the board. That would help a lot with office coverage. The other end of it is that I know we have these kind of high-tech, highly sophisticated technical water right applications that are going to be hitting us. The high, I can convince myself to go either direction.
Well, following up on Ken's question, my approach is I see next item is the budget, so maybe we should jump to a budget discussion, tie it to this, because question, if it's three, are we going to have the budget to cover those three? And if so, then isn't it just a question of just getting them done? Whether or not we prioritize one or the other, you're going to have to do all three anyway?
I don't think we're going to have the budget for all three.
Okay, so therein lies your priority. So if you don't have the budget for all three now, are we talking about not having the budget for all three maybe ever, or maybe not until the next legislative cycle? Well, I'm not sure where
as people have quickly pointed out, the need to know the cost of health benefits is an overwhelmingly important part of the budget. I have been working with Christy to put our budget pieces together. We finally have gotten things moving on getting our information compiled. I would tell you that next standard board meeting, you'll have something similar to this that has all of the monthly expenses that you can look at. That'll have some breakouts, in the general sense, from like payroll costs, board compensation costs, rent and utilities, these kinds of standard factors, and that we have designs to make that a regular monthly report back that is not onerous beyond our regular account tracking. So, keep in mind that this is part of a spreadsheet that is essential to our business anyway. So we're not just running around making reports that don't dovetail into our other work products. So we've got that going on, and I'm just going to go ahead and blend a couple of these items and talk a little bit about health benefits, if you'll allow getting outside of the compartmentalization, because we have provided a bunch of information to two vendors. we're waiting to get responses back from both of those vendors. Additionally, based on some feedback I got from those vendors, myself and staff decided earlier that we're going to go ahead and go out and just put a pitch to the open market and see what's it cost to get health insurance on your own, which also Georgia stuck that idea in my head a little bit too. So I think by here within a week or two, we're going to have some pretty firm numbers on what this stuff's going to cost. We may even have it tomorrow, but right now, I've got the requests out. We've provided the vendors with the needed information. I'm just waiting to hear back at this point.
So is playing this moving pieces around, are you saying that you won't have the budget to do 3? You said 3, I don't know what 3 are, because of the overall budget, or you're not sure because of the very thing you just talked about, the uncertainty of the cost of benefits?
My best guess is that the benefits will drive which positions we could opt for. And so, obviously, there have been some talk of hiring a hydrogeologist. Maybe we settle a little differently instead of that higher end position because of the cost of the healthcare benefits. But one of them should be achievable. That's my.
So I would agree with Ken. I would say at that point, then we would need, if you want this board to decide, we need a recommendation, or we need your narrative on all 3, so we can look at them and make some kind of educated decision on this. Otherwise, we'll look really strongly to even staff recommendations. So moving forward, we're willing to take whatever priority action needs to be taken to get this move forward.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, right.
I'd like to throw in one other comment, or my 2 bits. At the last meeting, I brought up the fact that DNRC has to rewrite their regulations now because of House Bill 2, I think it was. And one of the next steps that we will be taking is to develop rules and regulations for the surface water and groundwater water right applications that are in excess of 35 gallons a minute. And that is a complicated process. So I think that DNRC would be amenable to this, but I think one of the person we should be looking to hire would be an individual that could sit at that table so that we could concurrently develop our regulations. They'll be specific to the Flathead Reservation Water Management Board situation, but there is a heck of a lot of overlap. And that's going to be our huge next step in this process. So I guess my thought would be to maybe hire an individual that would be able to participate in that process, or have some background in order to participate in that process. Just kind of to guide the direction. That's the direction we're going to have to go no matter what. But that's actually, when you look at that memorandum of understanding that we just signed, that's going to be what phase 2 is all about. So we need to start to be thinking about that, so we're ready for phase 2 of the water right database process.
Very good, thank you. So Ethan, additional thoughts? We're talking about hiring, but also wondering whether or not it would be worth considering contractors to fulfill some of those functions in a way that allows you to manage access to whoever you need, whenever you need it. And the contractor who's available part-time for hydrology work, and the contractor who's available part-time for administrative work. Maybe you've got one that's available part-time for the third, whatever that is. I'm just spitballing, thinking that maybe that could benefit your approach or our approach for in a variety of ways. Contractors tend to, you tend to be able to hire a contractor and they sort of take care of their own benefits and other things through the contract process. So you don't have to worry about it as much, and you can tie them to very specific work and tie them to specific times. So just a thought.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, any other comments or questions on we were talking sort of generally about 5.5, 5.6 board budget items and staffing benefits. Anything else on benefits?
Mr. Chairman, this board member, please have something. You look very like you were about to say something.
I'm Googling. So, well, at the last meeting, you brought up that I thought was a terrific idea with the money market and the amount of funds that could generate. I was just checking this. If I recall from the last meeting, the average rate of return could be around $30-some thousand on a money market, if I was doing the math right. And according to the Montana stats for, if you have to go on the open market and buy your own healthcare, depending on, this is a sliding scale, but it's around $6,200, $6,300 a person. So the money market interest could cover the cost. This is just how my mind's working this afternoon, but the money market would cover that cost. So if we're looking at that total budget at the next meeting, for instance, that would affect how we look at staffing, right? The money that we put towards staffing. So I'm excited about the money market. I'm excited what that could do for the total budget and how we calculate benefits. But just to throw that out there as a ballpark for everybody to think about. And I know there's other benefits besides healthcare that would come into that, but at $6,200, $6,300 a person, this is achievable, for instance. So.
Just as another update for benefits tomorrow, right, we meet with the retirement sign up person. And so we'll have that moving forward and have better projections on the retirement costs associated with the match option and see what people are choosing that will affect our full 2023 budget. We are doing that along the same lines as our fiscal structure, so that you might see a higher amount of contributions from staff between now and the end of the year than you would on a monthly basis if they had started January, right? So I suspect that we'll have a pretty good handle on that too. That's kind of a benefits update, so that's moving.
Any comments at this time, Roger?
I don't have any additional comments.
Georgia, Ken?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Last item here, as amended, we have 5.7 update on the board logo. And we'll start with an overview if the board will allow. And thank you for popping something up for us here. Folks have been hard at work trying to come up with some alternatives that are not all in black.
So we did pick a couple last time, but I think the catch was, I think Teresa had made some contact with the culture communities, and her recommendation is that we don't use the bitter flour, which is fine, which just eliminates that. So beyond that, I think we're narrowing it down, and we could probably even, we took action before. If we need additional action, we can, or we can just like concurrence decide where we're going to go here. But one way or the other, I see the information you have and appreciate it.
Sure, they're having some screen problems here.
We're trying to make sure the background is white and black.
Yep, and so for now, we'll encourage you to look at your paper that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And I'll just describe off of that. And sorry, Roger, we'll get you there.
Oh, Christy sent it to me. I got it up.
That's very convenient. Thank you, Christy. So our general recommendation is, if you look into the center line, is that this would be your logo. We included two variants on the left because you guys are sometimes picky. We wanted to like make sure you had something to choose from. I will offer that even my daughter chimed in a little on this one, so careful. The image on the far right is what you would see on as a watermark on a water right issued by this office under your authority. And we think the center line, we'll use whichever one makes sense on different letterhead. They all look consistent enough to where we think it provides, a visual identification. We went back and forth a little bit, but decided that we should try to get people to remember the acronym. And so that every logo would have the acronym at the top of it. And then for the watermark, we just thought it'd be nice for a more official look to wrap the reservation boundaries around the logo itself. That's my pitch, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I think it's moving forward. I think I'm not sure what if you're asking us to approve one or the other, or you just want to have access to all of them.
Mr. Chairman, I'm asking you to approve the center line as your new logo and the watermark to the right as what we're going to put it on foregoing water rights.
What do you mean by the center line?
Well, the items down the middle there, the three.
So you want us to approve all four of those?
Yes.
What do we need for?
Mr. Chair, board members, I'm going to walk up here to show you kind of what we think. We think some scenarios, like for smaller letterhead and things, we're going to need just this general one. Some will be black and white printed, right? So we wanted to show you what it looks like in black and white, because sometimes when you do things, you don't have color, right? Then we do also show what we were thinking in general, that it would be in color. Then when we have more room to where that font would be legible, we would include the actual words underneath. And then this is for the water rights. This is just a bit much for letterhead, but on a water right, it's a big watermark on a legal background size piece of paper. Does that help?
Yes.
Excellent. And I see a little difference between what we need for letterhead, what we need for a watermark, what we need for signs, and what we need for that's just the logo, and maybe even for business cards. So the simplest version of the logo of it would be the logo, would be something that's just the logo, because I see the question of logo being different than what we need for letterhead or signs or business cards. The logo would be simple enough for business card.
simpler ones would be more like the logo, and the rest would be used for those formal things with print.
Eloquent, way beyond what I offered there, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for helping me out.
That's what I see. That's Georgia.
Well, I love these. First of all, may I commend whoever came up with these for not using Times New Roman. I just want to throw that out there. No, but also from a design perspective, which I know nothing about, anything I say now is coming from my daughter. If this goes on our website, this variety also aids with people with different reading disabilities to have that contrast, which I think is a great thing to bake that into this. So well done, whoever put these together. So these look great.
Now move to the table over here, please.
Yes, thank you.
And my only comment is that I wish you'd used Times New Roman.
We'll arm wrestle about that later.
Yeah, you did get that all the font for Flathead Reservation Water Management Board is the same size. So no Times New Roman, the same size font.
Oh, I'm
Feel accommodated. We have an option that's got the map. Chairman.
This is great.
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Great.
I like it. All right, do you need action?
Yeah, we need action. We need to, we're going to plug this.
Action before.
You'll start seeing it everywhere.
Just for the record, we had tried before, but again, we were going away from the good group for input from the culture committee. So if the board's okay with that, we'll take action when you're ready.
Your turn.
My turn. Mr. Chairman.
I'm being reminded that we probably need to do public.
Oh, you
comment.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll take any public comment. If anybody has public comment.
If you have any public comment online, please raise your hand and we'll let you talk. Seeing none.
But to be clear, the two items on the left would not be approved.
The two items on the left were just there for disaster recovery. Mr. Chairman.
The two items on the left are not included. We don't include those, and we're approving the rest for use in items like letterhead, watermark, signage, business cards, and logo for all of them. Yes, no, maybe so.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we adopt the center line of the slide screen here and the watermark for board's logo.
Motion by Ken.
I second.
Then by Gerber. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none. You got it at the same time. All right.
Yay.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, board members. That concludes the water engineer.
Okay, so I don't know if I need to read the language, but we're closing for an executive session now, and I guess it's the need for privacy outweighs the need for public. I'm not sure what the language is. Need for public information at this time, so we'll close the meeting and have an executive session with our legal staff, between the legal staff and the board. Correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. And we estimate that the closed session will be approximately an hour. And I emphasize the word approximately.
You've reserved an hour, but it could be less.
Could be less, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Could be more.
And then are we coming back into session to finish up?
Mr. Chairman, after the end of the closed executive session, we have one more item, which is to open up into the Office of the Water Engineer Personnel Policies again and see if we can make headway on a couple of priority items from the personnel section. As with the previous work session / section by section approval, we'll run it the way that we did the last time you met on 5/18, to where we can go through in some individual sections, and if we can get the board to agree to those, we can go ahead and enact those and keep business going based on your decisions for those key personnel items.
So we'll go into executive session and come back into regular session.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and the board will remain in this room. The online meeting will shut down to the regular screen, and then we'll re-add board member Noble to a separate meeting that is this closed session for the board and the board's legal counsel.
And I don't see any potential action coming out of that executive session. Was there some thought that there might be action coming out of there?
Mr. Chairman, board, I will yield to the board's counsel, which is on, are they still on the meeting or? Okay. Haley, are you there to answer any additional items about the closed session?
Her hand is up, so she needs to.
You there?
Can you hear us?
Hi, Haley, I think you're trying to talk to us, but I hear you way in the background.
Can you hear better?
No, you're. How about now?
Perhaps if legal counsel has something to offer, they'll add it at the closed session.
Yeah, and we can clarify whether or not we need to take any action coming on that. So we'll move now to executive session and see if we can get this set up so we can do that. Thank you all. Anybody online? We'll be back.
Ethan, I'm going to log off and then log back on.
Yes, sir. And you should have the other meeting.
Yep.
In your inbox. Much appreciation. Thank you, everybody.
Roger, you there?
Got a loud shock. Sorry.
Yeah, we put that about.
I'm on.
Okay, thank you, Roger. So are we good to go? We on?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay, so we are continuing with our June 6th, 2023 Flathead Reservation Water Management Board meeting. We're in an executive session. We are now out of that executive session, getting ready to finish up additional business on the agenda today. Coming out of the executive session, just for the record, we won't take any action today. We're asking our water engineer and staff, Ethan and staff, to go ahead and complete the process to develop the complaint form, the complaint process, and the appeal process. Working with staff and working with the attorneys, bring back to the board and put that on a future agenda, make that a future agenda item. So with that for the record, we'll deal with that as an action item at a future meeting. So appreciate that, Ethan. So with that, we have item number 7, Office of Water Engineer Personnel Policies. So Ethan.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I'm trying to make this work here. Hopefully folks should be able to see my screen and have some of our last updates where we left off things. We don't have a ton of time to talk through additional personnel policies today, but I do appreciate your time, and we'll try to direct you to a couple of key items if the board will allow. Yes, please. So we did get these two major, this is a brief recap. We did get pretty good board direction on the paid holidays. We did get pretty good board direction on the types of employees. You'll remember there's full-time and part-time. I did also accept the board's direction here to move this section. You had requested to put that up near the exempt and non-exempt classification section. And well, we also have done some additional work on the probationary period, employee promotion plans, telework, and PTO. With the board's A-OK, I'd like to go down into here into the PTO and see if I found something that works for the board. Please do, because that is a key item that we need some resolution on. All right, there were a couple of things that occurred at our last meeting. One, we had a little bit of back and forth about the accrual rates. Roger had mentioned that the accrual rates were different from what the state had, and so I have changed these. These are now identical to what the state had. These other accrual rates are, I'm going to say close, but not more than, you know, the tribes rates are generally higher in some circumstances. The state's rates are pretty darn close. I think I had tried to explain how those rates came to be. I did look at both policies. You guys kind of checked on that at our last meeting. We all landed on like these are pretty common amongst state and tribal employees. You did offer some additional information about the determination of years of full-time service. And of course, this is to be run a little more like a work session. So do interrupt me if you've got questions, comments, or direction. So the board's, my recollection and understanding is the board wanted to limit that to within the state of Montana service, and was specific to work with the tribes and the state, and that should include work with the Salish Kootenai College and the state of Montana University system. Okay, and this is highlighted here because this is a change that I've made that I believe that you wanted. Okay? Does that still seem accurate to what the board's direction was on this item?
Looking for head nods here. I see a couple here. So
okay.
Yes, Roger.
I did have a question.
We'll get a question.
When you go back up to little 2, you don't include federal.
I believe that you told me to not include federal. Okay. And please do, if I have missed that direction, please let me know now.
Oh, Ethan, just to clarify, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir, I can. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I got made a participant, but my recommendation was to leave after we went through with all of the review of where the difference between the DNRC accrual policy and the tribes accrual policy. My recommendation was to leave originally what you had.
Oh, okay.
That was what I recommended. And so I kind of state that was what I came up with at the end as we were adjourning.
Are you talking on the table, or?
Yes, the table, the OEO, PTO leave accrual rates.
Okay. So this should not equal what the state's.
No, because the state, you've mixed it up now. The state, and I did that because the state does not include sick leave as an accrual thing, but we are including sick leave. So because of that, I recommended we stay with what you originally had.
Okay, which was a lower amount.
It was the lower number. It starts with 26 days instead of 27 days. So you can go back and fix that at another time, but that was what the last recommendation on the table was. And following up with Ken's comment, it was not to include federal work experience, just state and related. And I think Ken advised us, as I recall, that state included everything from city, county to whatever else, as well as university.
So Roger, why did we not, refresh me, why did we decide not to include federal?
Because we were trying to either be similar to what the state policy is or what the CSKT policy is. And I'll let Clayton speak to CSKT, but it seemed like that was considerably more stringent than the state policy.
Yeah, just from experience, the tribal policy, years of service are generally tribal years of service, and they would on occasion, for example, when the tribe would contract one of the federal programs and take it over, they would make that exception and allow for those employees who were federal employees to take years of service. But just as a matter of general employment, they did not include that for years of service for tribal employment. So it'd be tribal employees. And so I thought since we're funded by the tribe and funded by the state, trying to mirror those to the best we can and try to make that work for us would be the best option. So what we have is tribal, state, or public employment within the state of Montana. I think is reasonable for general employment practice, general hiring.
By wording it that way, you're going to probably preclude any federal employee from wanting to work for the board. And if that's okay, it's okay. But it's just, and there's a pretty good sized talent pool out there.
Okay, well, let's discuss it. I mean, that's why we're here. So what do you?
I guess that was my thought, just based on the prior discussion, if we're looking at who Ethan may prioritize next, it might be a hydrologist or hydrogeologist. And we have a limited pool of those within the state. So if we had to go outside of the state, would having a federal qualifier affect that pool at all, in your opinion? I don't know.
For reference, my original wording included federal and other states as well, because I was looking for qualified, experienced people, and recognizing that as a person who does some of the hiring in this office, that would be a factor that I would think about when I hired someone. You know, that said, though, this is a board decision.
Well, I think we also had discussion on that if there was a candidate that applied that would have exceptional experience, we could negotiate the benefits package.
Yes, Roger. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, past.
Before you need two. Back to two.
Yes, sir.
The first previous, you probably shouldn't have a comma behind it.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I removed federal and forgot the comma. Thank you. Yeah, good eye.
You know, it's time to remember you.
I'm going to skip around a little bit because oh wait, I'm not going to skip around. So this is something that you hadn't considered yet, which was included in here based on my larger net that I had thrown. And it says that previous service should be for work performed that is similar or integrally related to the employee's OE position description. Exceptions to this limitation may be approved by the board. Now, the tribes and the states policies do not specify that previous state or previous tribal experience needs to be related to their current work at all. So if we're going, you know, again, this was written, we just didn't get to it yet because I had a larger net of experiences that would be allowable, like federal and other states, so long as it was integral to the position.
I recall us discussing that at the last meeting, though, that it needed to be comparable experience. And I guess the other thought I had is I'm more comfortable leaving federal and other states in, only because of the current hiring situation we're up against. It is difficult to get candidates. I've mentioned this before, we've got positions we've been applying at the college for going on 2 years. And I'd like to do what we can to expand that pool of candidates rather than constrict it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't want to give credit to a federal dog walk for.
No, that's what I mean. We
right.
want it to be comparable.
So,
and that's what we discussed at the last meeting, is that if we're going to widen the net, it needs to include people who have been a hydrologist in another state or whatever.
So I've seen where guys purposely move to another town or state and take another job because they're getting credit for all that back experience, and they're going to stick around for another 3 or 5 years until they hit retirement. And then the retirement package includes all of those years of experience. Is that going to happen to us?
yeah.
I had no thought of that.
Only on vesting. But our vesting actually doesn't specify years of service for, this is specific to PTO accrual. The vesting is years with this office for retirement. And those retirement benefits that you're talking about were probably more pension retirement plans as opposed to, you know, employer matched 457B type stuff. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to add to this, that I guess several things. One, getting federal personnel is going to be challenging anyway. They probably have a better health benefit. They have a better leave benefit than that. But it's certainly attractive. I mean, that helps. And I think more importantly than the alignment of the position is that it's continuous. That I was a state employee 5 years ago, and I want to pull my leave forward. That it has to be continued. I'm leaving a state job with 100 hours of PTO. I want to come into this job with 100 hours of PTO. so that's a continuous transition versus, well, I worked for them 5 years ago. I want to pull that forward.
Well, and this does not allow you to move any balance of PTO. This is strictly the accrual rate. So we wouldn't recognize.
So you're not recognizing even the state accrual.
No, like you're out at a fresh start when you start here. So start your balance. So start at 0.
Okay.
But you start. But up here, based on things where you see your years of full-time service, which will be determined based on what we decide is eligible here. You're either you're gaining out, at one of these rates.
I'm catching up. So, 2 was basically saying we're going to acknowledge your previous experience, so we can give you a proper accrual.
Exactly. So
so what?
6 years as a federal employee, it either puts you here or it puts you here. And that's. That's what it gets at. And then also the follow-up here, which is an important factor in this discussion, is whether or not it needs to be, what I say, integrally related to.
Okay, that clears it up. And then I don't think it's, in 2, if you threw federal in there, I don't think that's a bad thing. I thought that was meaning that you're going to pull what they've accrued in the previous positions forward.
Yeah, I don't think we have the budget for that. Yeah. I mean, like within the state, they'll do it because the state is paying one way or another.
Right.
I mean, like yeah, sure, it goes from one account to another account, but it's still all roughly tied to something. But for us, yeah, I can imagine that we would be able to honor somebody else's
right. No, that makes sense.
Leave balance. That makes me a little uncomfortable. I mean, you decide what you want. To me, that I would be out of my percent with that. So like, but
numbers little 3, that may take care of the whole federal and other person. That's kind of an escape hatch for unusual situations.
And so the escape hatch, meaning that the board can approve exceptions. Yeah. Okay. It's a little tougher because during the hiring process, that's not live. And that would be something, a difference here would be that this is something that I would put in the leave statement for a flown advertisement. You understand? So it's not, doesn't just live in the policies and like, oh yeah, you got a job. This would be, I would promote this as the benefit package. Adding after we get our policies and things done, a page to our job announcements that list the benefits of working here as an enticement, right, to the advertisement, because it's an advertisement, right?
That's a really good I didn't think of.
But you can still add that number 3 in there. I've seen that done before. I've seen where compensation is based in an advertisement, or compensation is based on providing experience or something to that extent, So you could just simply add that number 3 on to your advertisement.
So what is the downside to adding federal and other states in at number 2? What am I missing? What is the negative?
I don't know that one. This is a different direction than my original drafted. So it's Roger and Clayton, you guys were, I think, the progenitors of pulling the feds and the other states out. If I remember, I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that.
Well, no, you're not wrong, but
and my experience, for example, in a tribal organization where years of service are calculated based on tribal years of service, tribal employment years of service, with those other exceptions, we take over the federal program, has never stopped anyone from applying for our jobs.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're saying that we're wanting to add in there as an enticement and incentive for people to apply for the job, because when you come in with 6 years of experience, you're going to be at a higher level of rate of PTO. We can add them, but not having it has never prohibited people, doesn't prohibit people from applying. But to specifically answer your question, I don't know what it's in. I mean, it's ultimately becomes then a financial consideration for you. You want to start them off with that ability to do that right off the bat. And if they've got that experience in the tribal state system, we're saying, yeah, we recognize that. Outside of that, you want to recognize them, then why not? And so then why not open it to any experience, any source? Why not private?
And I'm just
Why
asking.
limit it at all?
Yeah.
Well, I could view this as an enticement for locals, right? That could be a good reason. If you're looking for local talent, I mean, I understand there are federal. How about federal employees working within the state of Montana? That way you get Montana-centric information.
And my question is stemming from ignorance, because I'm not a human resources person, I'm just a biologist, but I'm thinking, this is what I keep coming back to. This is where my questions are bubbling out of. We've got to hire some additional positions. We need to get really qualified people, and we've got to induce them to move to a place that has the same cost of living as Seattle, Washington, but with the median income far below it. So if you just run the stats on demographics right now, that's where we're falling out. So is an extra couple of days off a year maybe something to tip that balance, given that you get to live in Montana instead of Seattle, Washington? I know I would factor that in. That's just where my questions are coming from, and really it is from a place of ignorance.
Well, it's not ignorant at all. It's why we're doing this. I'll get through it.
And I also think that, like, maybe you know what, have people from Seattle. Maybe you're looking for, I don't know what you mean.
And
the way it's written now is kind of confusing and duplicative, because it pretty much says any tribe, any state, or public employment within the state of Montana, previous public employment qualifies when the previous employing agency was a constituted part of any board, any state, or any county, or any city government. Except if you're a Fed, which is public.
it's public employment within the state. Yeah, it already says within the state. So you're reading of it says tribal state, meaning already says any tribe, any state. Yeah.
Huh.
It has lost a little of its luster in the editorial.
So Ken, are you saying that it should be more specific and saying tribal, it should be CSKT, and state should be Montana, state of Montana, or something to that effect?
No, I'm not saying that. I just want to make sure we understand what it actually is saying right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the way that first sentence reads is any tribe, any state position, any public employment within the state of Montana.
Which would include feds.
Which I assume that public employment is federal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's already there.
I don't know what the intent of the employment was, but maybe that was county or something like that. I'm not.
Those are those attorney superpowers.
Oh, yeah. And then the rest of it is what confuses me. If they're finished with the first sentence, then the rest of it.
Where we include.
How about this? Instead of say previous employment, public employment qualifies mutually within the state of matter when previous employing agency was so on and so forth. I mean, the question still is if you really mean to say.
No, I guess the question is, what do you really mean?
For the board. No, then like a true attorney. No, I mean, if you're gonna hire someone from, say, an Eastern tribe, and you think they're qualified, that's fine. But if you want to benefit the people that are here, then you gotta have to put a restriction.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. Oh boy.
So we're going to say like tribal colleges and state of Montana university system.
You know, Clayton, at the last meeting you shared, it took over a year to get through certain personnel policies, and I'm beginning to have a greater appreciation as to why that is. So,
Yeah.
Should that say tribal colleges? Or should the other tribal say CSD?
If you're going to get any small tribe in the country, almost every tribal college should.
This is still limited to Montana, though, from what you guys have done here.
Those tribes that are what about tribes that are in the process. See, I'm learning. I'm learning from.
Not totally sure I know if I'm doing what you guys want me to. But
I'm not sure where we're at in the planning.
okay, let me ask you another question, get your mind off this. Can I just adopt the tribe's PTO accrual rate table instead of this other one? The one that you emailed me?
You probably want to show it to everybody.
It has less than 3 years of service is, all right, I have it. It's hard to find on my computer thing. Less than 3 years of service, it's got 8 here, right? Whoops. Then 3 to 5 years, which is a little different rate. It has 9, 6 to 8 years. It has 10, 9 to 11 years. It's 11, and then 12 or more years is 12. So it's simpler than this arrangement. I would still keep the complexity of the hours per hour's work, but just change the calculation to meet. So since the state doesn't do sick leave and annual combined, and the tribes do, and we're headed towards PTO, we're just use what the tribes use.
I do. I like the fact that with the tribal system, there's a little bit, a smaller amount the first few years, but once you're committed to staying over the long term, there's more of a reward for that. So I like that.
It also seemed to be a little bit of an issue last time we discussed it as to where they came from. And this way we could say it comes from that exact table from page 13 of the times ordinance. And then, you know, for areas in here where we reference state stuff, it's kind of a nice balance, which was a recurring theme that you have brought forward, Georgia, in your comments. Was that we should refer to more tribal ordinances, and this would be embracing one of those.
Yeah, I'm obviously okay with it as long as the rest of the board is. This is fine, but if you want to go that route, that's, you know, works for me.
Roger, you there? Did we lose you?
No, I'm here. I remember that the tribes one was the most lucrative of all of them. So I'm just trying to be financially conservative a little bit. We keep giving away more and more benefits all the time. At some point, we're going to have to say, we only got so big a budget, you know?
What are the Fed earnings?
It's similar to the tribes, but they have split.
Right.
And sick leave, the sick leave doesn't rate as you have more time in service, you get the same amount of sick leave.
Right, that's how the state is too.
But the annual.
And that was how the state was. And your original one, Ethan, was a meld, it seemed like, was an intermediary between the state, because the state didn't give accrual for sick leave, just like the feds doesn't, but yet it wasn't as quite a high as accrual rate as the tribal rate. So that's why I thought the original one was a good compromise.
So the Fed tops out at 12.
The tribes top out at 12.
I think they do that at 20.
This is what the state tops out at, I think, at 20. If you were to add, the state gets 12 hours or 12 days a year, 96 hours of sick leave throughout. And then if you add that to their more than 20 years in service rate, you end up with this.
It's probably, you know, like half the difference.
Yeah.
At 20 years plus.
So Roger's a good balance for me, right? I'm always going to go one extreme, and Roger will go the other. And again, I have no human resources background, so. So it's
the original said 8 year. I need to get the calculator to balance this out.
So I can give you those, Ethan, if you want. I have it in front of me here as soon as I find it.
And that was bad. Oh man, you guys got 8 minutes to figure out this PTO, and I gotta shut this meeting down. Sorry. So right now we have federal people in here. We have that the work needs to be integrally related, or that the board makes an exception. And we don't have included in here who decides what integrally related is. I think it should probably be me or the chair.
No, it's administrative. I think you need to be able to look at it and decide if it's, you know, you have a dog walker or a hydrologist, and you're able to figure that out.
How about that? Yeah. Great. This was because there were some comments that didn't think I had done a very good job explaining, which I had stolen that language from the state, I think it was, but credit for previous employment toward an employee's calculation of years of full service are added to an employee's hours accumulated at the OE, enabling some employees to meet increases of PTO accrual based on years of full-time service thresholds served. Does that explain how it works? Okay. There we go. This is another issue that we did not resolve. Do you want to limit service to a single employer, or if somebody worked for the tribes for 3 years and then they worked for the state for 3 years in both integrally integrally what's the word? Yeah, you know, do you allow multiples, or you got some limitation there?
Yeah, I sort of go with the idea that it's better just to open it up and rely on the resident that a 20-year hydrologist comes in and 8 of it is state of Oregon and some of it was the state of Montana and the last little bit was tribe. This 20 years is not being hydrologist. And it was, you know, they're going to say, oh, well, we're only going to count the last 4 years with the tribe. The past 16 don't count.
Yeah, I like that. I keep running it through a similar filter that if someone, I keep thinking of this hydrologist we've got to hire, and that if they've had more varied experience, that's a good thing, right? Because this reservation has some of the most complex groundwater resources out there. So it's not like working 20 years in Nebraska, right? You know, it's complex here. And so if someone had an experience like that, I would look at that more favorably.
Yes, that's where I would lean is on the resume and to determine how they fit in here, not necessarily who they work for. You know what I mean? If they come in with 20 years of multi years of experience, I think that's you go great. You got 20 years, and we're going to acknowledge it.
Yeah, is this something that's going to be on the ad?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is something I almost didn't take this job over. I'm just telling you right now, because it wasn't sorted out. And it was a factor in my decision. So I'm just letting you know, like people are paying attention to that.
Okay. But my point is, it was still a state actually.
If we do this pretty one of the board, yeah.
My gut says, no, delete 5. Let that be.
All right, so five's gone. Then I want to know what your gut says about you guys agree within the state of Montana. This is like we just got to make this decision right now.
Let's look at that clock. Let's get this done.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
you do with the lead, right?
Yes, but you're going to have federal employees that are encouraged to go from state to state to state to state. The way it reads now, you have to be a federal employee within the state of Montana.
So leave or I'm not sure where we're at with this one now. In the state of Montana.
I mean, I started in Montana, I was transferred to Washington, D.C., then I was transferred to Colorado, and I'm back. Of course, I'm not back this bad.
You're not the only person who's had a life like that. And sometimes people who have had that life are good employees to try to entice.
You know, if we're going to open it up to federal employment, it's got to be all of it. I mean, and it's either all or not all, because you know, I don't think you can parse it that finally for hiring. I mean, just for if we're going to include it, I mean,
So it kind of goes back to my earlier question, what do we want to do? Do you want to open it up to everybody, get the best qualified candidates, or do we want to focus on Montana?
It is open. The only question is whether or not they start off with higher rate of leave. That's all. That's all this is.
Right.
It's open. Anybody can apply.
Yeah, we come here with zero. How fast do you want to get that? And more experience, or however we word that, the faster they're going to do that. The higher they're going to jump in that. They'll start off with a higher rate. And I'm more interested in that.
But then
incentivizing, the longer you're here, the more you get. Versus,
and it's not,
the other way.
it's integrally related. Let's keep that in mind here. So this isn't just any old experience.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to me, I think that is like probably one of the most important like parts of this is that there's that condition. Yep. All right. Look at that. We got something here to say that I said about it.
So,
To change your mind.
the state that has the most hydrologists in the United States is California. Second is Washington. So just for trivia, there you go. Now you know. But, so if you are thinking about where would the candidate pool come from, right? Then those target-rich environments are not in Montana. It's other states. So.
Okay, and then related to PTO, we're gonna make this backwards compatible with people who've worked here, which is way back. Because I've been tracking, at least since I got here, at least we could go off of when we started using the staff payroll sheets, we have been tracking the PTO. And so the proposal, nobody knew what the rates would be. I'm sorry, my screen is so complicated here.
So let me try to restate what I think you're saying. You want to, the question is, do we want to make whatever we come up with retroactive for all current employees?
To the, right here, employee PTO balance. This is policy set 18 to deal with the fact that we haven't had a policy set. And it says that earned PTO will be back calculated to the earlier of 1/1/23 or the employee's start date. This actually is an error. Later. This needs to be later. Whichever is later, either the start of the year or sometime after the start of the year when the employee started. My apologies for not writing that right first. Okay.
How does that affect you? How did we hire you?
You hired me in last November.
Okay, so you're gonna lose 2 months.
Yeah.
So would you need here?
Yeah, I'm getting a little burned on this policy. We could go back to my start date or whenever I started using the spreadsheets to track things. Or we could just start it at the first of the year in plain fashion. Part of the mess is that we took off holiday leave, right? You know, in a way that nobody knew exactly what they were doing. So I would prefer to just start at the first of the year. That's. Then we'll do the back calculation. Which I did wrong again. Make the mistake of it twice. And then PTO balance will be updated by subtracting used PTO from earned PTO. This is an important thing. Values less than 0 will yield a 0. What's the numbers for late today? So Oh, whoops, no, I didn't. No, we were good. I gotta put my glasses on. So then, and that's just the like, well, we didn't know what we're doing. I don't want to start somebody on negatively. I don't want to do it. So,
and this is all a one-time deal, right?
yeah, this is at the adoption of the PTO. It gives us a way to have a footing to march forward. And then I'm going to say here that this will be effective when the water engineer makes the adjustment with staff, because I'm not going to have time to do it today. Okay, I'm not. I won't put it off forever, but let's. It might be the. I have some other priorities to handle. Everybody at least will know where they're going. It'll take little spreadsheet activities and such to get that sorted out. What do you think?
I see heads nodding here, Roger.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. I think we could stop on personnel policies because I have to. Otherwise, I would go for another hour. I would like to take the last moment of your time, though, to find out when we can meet again. Yeah.
So just going back to that, I don't know where we landed still on that OEPTO leave accrual rates.
We landed at the original table.
Okay.
That you liked before without the highlighted numbers. I still have to. I gotta put the older number.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't understand or didn't hear that there was a general consensus on that. So I'm good.
I think so. I saw heads nodding. They get out of there, going to sleep.
Yeah, I got to get to another meeting.
In any case, we'll see a final version to approve, right?
Yep. All right. The whole thing does get finalized, we hope.
Okay.
Ethan,
but if you want to
you
approve that section, you can bring that back and approve that section like we have been doing.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering if you could email us the sections that we've already approved, Just
yeah, I will do that.
Okay.
I'll send you an update this week. I meant to send it to you yesterday, but I thought we probably wouldn't even have time to do but one section, so it seemed like maybe more trouble than it was worth given the other pressing work.
Next meeting, so we headed toward 13th. No, this says July. We're talking June. Do we have another meeting in June?
I'm asking. I think Ken's out till like the 20th. I get my calendar out too.
You know, Ken.
Yeah, I'm going the week of the 19th in South Dakota.
And I said do it by phone, but the last time I was in Canada, it was almost impossible. It's expensive. 2 big calls from Canada here. Self-imposed at least.
Okay, so the week of the 19th is out, right?
Not for Georgia.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Okay.
I'm good with it. I'd be good like with the 22nd.
22nd.
I can do that also.
So,
see if Trace is available, and then we'll
for sure we won't be able to. So let's get another. Let's look at June the 25th. See what people got going on June the 20th. Week of June the 25th.
anything going on.
I'm good. You're good anytime
So far.
Okay,
That could change, but good so far.
right now,
See Georgia nodding her head.
Yeah, I'm around that week.
Roger,
I can't do the 27th, but otherwise I'm open that week.
all right. You enough to work with?
I think so.
Okay, so one of those, we'll see a notice on one of those dates as soon as we get that figured out. We kind of skipped over a couple items, board member updates. Any board member updates? No, Roger?
No.
And public comments, any final public comments? I don't know if we have any public left. Any public left online?
Oh, forgot I'm driving the meeting. We have 2 attendees, Roger and Maya.
Okay, no public comment, no public to comment, so.
Mr. Chairman, just double check though, on our July meeting, are we good on the 13th, which is your regular meeting? Because I do, the farther in advance I can plan on, the better I do. You're good?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Roger, can you do July the 13th? We lost Roger. All right, I'll send out an invitation. See how that looks.
Take a shot at both of those. All right. Motion to adjourn. Let's see what motion to adjourn. Motion. Again.
I'll second.
And my Durgan, there's the aye. Roger said aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Drive home and moderate.
Oh, I hope so. Well, I heard.